Good evening, all of you. May we start the session?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Insha ma'am. Thank you. So, good evening, all of you. And I think it's my first session on Patliputra Sahodaya for the new session. For the new academic session, this is my first session with all of you, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. So before we start today's session and we go to the topic of today's training, let me share with you one brilliant idea which has come up in the Patliputra Sahodaya group today. All of you, you are representing some of the other school. So, there is a message in the group today that Patliputra Sahodaya is inviting posters from students on the G20 theme, that is labor. As you all know that this year India has a presidency of G20, so it's a proud privilege for us to be a part of it some way or the other. And I would say that how beautifully the schools have been linked into this G20 project, that is really a wonderful idea. So let us all indulge into this and let us be a proud partner of the G20 summit. And as Patliputra Sahodaya is organizing this poster making competition, I would also request, and I would like to use this platform to request all of you to kindly motivate your students to participate in this event. It's very simple. They have to just prepare a poster on labor, and as a part of the school, you have to select the best three posters from your school, and you can send copies to the office, or you can even scan and send the soft copies. And if children are preparing the poster, kindly ensure that the size of the paper is A3. And they can use colors, they can write some slogans, they can work on different angles of the theme. Labor is a theme, but labor could be anything. It could be stop child labor, it could be labor is dignity, whatever you wish to. But the central theme and the central idea should be labor. So once again, I would request all of you to kindly participate wholeheartedly in this very first event which has been launched and introduced by Patliputra Sahodaya, that is poster making competition. Three best selections have to be dropped into Patliputra Sahodaya office, either the hard copies or you can even scan and mail the soft copies, and they will be awarded by Patliputra Sahodaya. So I hope teachers, all of you and your schools will participate in this program. So with this, I would like to start today's session. And today I have a very interesting topic for all of you, Today we are going to talk about skills. Like for example, let me start with a very simple question. How many of you remember exactly how much percentage you got in your class 6 maths or your class 8 science or class 10 English? Exact percentage, anybody remembers? I think very few of you. If anybody remembers, you can please type it quickly in the chat box. Fastest finger first. Okay. We generally remember marks, either very good marks if we receive, or if we have received, if we are the low scorers. These are the two ways we remember our marks, isn't it? Otherwise, class 6 maths, class 7 Sanskrit, class 8 English, class 9 social science, we hardly remember, isn't it? But if I ask you that, how many of you remember how to drive a two-wheeler? Suppose you learned it at one point of time in your life, and maybe nowadays you're not even riding on a two-wheeler. But if I ask you that, if do you remember how to ride? Suppose a two-wheeler is given to you, will you be able to ride it, even if you have not done it for the last 5 years or 6 years? What will be your answer? Will it be a yes or will it be a no? I'm expecting some answers in the chat box. Someone has already written yes, 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 yes. So even after 10 years gap, you will be able to ride the two-wheeler. Similarly, you'll be able to cook even if you've not cooked for the last 15 years. You'll be able to swim even if you've not done that for the last 5, 6 years. So why? Why is it that we do not remember facts and figures, but we remember those things which are called skills? Why is it so? Because when we are learning a skill, when we are acquiring a skill, we don't use our rote memory. It is learning by doing. Very well said, Hemant sir. Thank you so much. So you are learning that skill by doing it, and that is why you don't forget. But when we talk about facts and figures, what happens is you use your memory. And when we try to memorize something, we tend to forget after some time. You keep on revising. Very beautiful words are coming up in the chat box. And friends, you're absolutely correct. Skills, are thus. Thus, I think this much has been ascertained by now that learning skills is much more important than figures and facts. But then what happens? When a teacher goes to the class and the teacher is trying to give a concept to the child, what happens? Let us come to the ground reality and try to understand that what is actually happening in our classroom. Suppose I'm a teacher today and I have to go to a class, maybe class 7, suppose, okay? And I have to go there and I have to teach English. So maybe I'll teach a poem, or I'll do a prose, or maybe today I'll do grammar, okay? So I'll go to the class with this idea that चलो आज class 7 के बच्चों को मुझे पढ़ाना है adverbs, for example. So I go there, I give them the definition of adverb, I give the examples of adverb, I do so many things to make them understand adverbs. But what happens after 5 years, after 10 years, the child doesn't even remember that the word that I've used in a sentence is known as an adverb. Why does it happen? Have you ever thought, friends, do your children really remember after 5 years, after 10 years, what is pollination, what is germination, what is photosynthesis, what are flowering plants, what are the difference between animal cell and plant cell, what is biodegradation, what is mitosis, what is meiosis, what is fission, what is fusion, what is polynomial, what is quadratic equation? Can they solve those sums after 10 years? I'm sure most of them will not be able to do. But as you yourself are saying that they can cook, they can drive, they can run, they can walk, they can speak, they can act, they can dance, they can sing, even after years and years. We go to a birthday party. I have not learned dancing, but sometime in my school I did dance. So if there's a DJ, if there is some music, I can also give some steps. Doesn't matter. Why? Because that is a skill. So today our topic is skill development through lesson planning. What can the teachers do that instead of just discussing the topics, instead of focusing on rote memory, the teachers develop skills in their students. And once the skills are developed, once the skills are nurtured, the child learns for the rest of his or her life. So can we do something, friends, that instead of just teaching them topics, of course, I do understand curriculum is important, syllabus is important. You have to discuss that. You have been given a curriculum, especially at the beginning of the session. Every teacher has been given month-wise, week-wise, day-wise maybe. And we have to follow that. But can we do something that along with that curriculum, we give skills also to our children, which help them the rest of their life, throughout their life. And even if they forget the content what the teacher has given me in once upon a time, they will not forget the skill that they have learned from the teacher. Okay, so somebody is saying I'm not audible. Am I audible, friends? Am I audible? Somebody is saying I'm not audible. Okay, so I'm trying to share my screen. Just tell me if you can see. Is my screen visible? Okay. So many of you are saying I'm audible. So madam or sir, whoever has this complaint, request you to kindly check your network connections. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is we are going to discuss now. Today, our topic is skill development through lesson planning. Skill development through lesson planning. Okay. Now, skill development through lesson planning. The most important weapon that the teacher carries to the classroom, वो आपकी गीता है, आपका बाइबल है, आपका कुरान है, आपका everything, गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब, और ये भी कह सकते हैं आपका तलवार, आपका भाला, आपका ढाल, आपका everything क्या है? लेसन प्लानिंग. तो जब हम एक वेल प्लान लेसन को क्लास में लेकर जाते हैं, तो उस लेसन में डेफिनेटली अभी तक आपके पास, आई एम श्योर ईच वन ऑफ यू प्रिपेयर अ लेसन प्लान, और जब आप उस लेसन प्लान को क्लास में लेके जाते हैं तो आपका उसमें कंटेंट रहता है, आपके उसमें क्वेश्चंस टू बी आस्क्ड रहते हैं, असेसमेंट रहता है, प्रीवियस नॉलेज टेस्टिंग रहता है. सो आई एम नॉट डिस्कसिंग ऑल दैट. I know each one of you know here what's a lesson plan, and I'm not going deep inside it. I'll just be very superficial about the lesson plan. But I'll just try to that is development. So I'm Mitali Mukherjee, Principal Indrapuram Public School Girls, and today we are going to discuss, friends, skill development through lesson planning. Okay, let me put it in a slideshow view. I'm just trying to put this in a slideshow view so that it is better visible to each one of you present here. Okay. 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 So, what do you mean by a lesson plan? What is a lesson plan? So, it is a plan. You know, one day I was actually participating in a training program, and my co-resource person was saying that we all go to the class with a lesson plan, but we don't think about the plan of those 40 children who are already in the class. You plan a lesson and you go to your class. Very good, wonderful job. But then what about their plan? As teachers, do we understand that to counterattack our plan, those 40 children have their own plan also? So what is the beauty of the lesson plan? How does your lesson plan stand out of thousands and thousands and thousands of lesson plan prepared by thousands of teachers? You know, my lesson plan, if my lesson plan works in a condition जहां पर उन 40 की प्लानिंग फेल हो जाएगी, फिर भी मेरा लेसन काम करेगा, मेरा लेसन प्लान काम करेगा, then that is supposed to be a very, very, wonderful, a very well projected, a very well thought lesson plan. So whenever you are preparing a lesson plan, friends, please keep this thought in mind कि मैं प्लानिंग कर रहा हूं या मैं प्लानिंग कर रही हूं, लेकिन हो सकता है 40 और बच्चे हैं उधर जिनकी प्लानिंग कुछ और होगी. क्या उस कंडीशन में भी मेरा लेसन प्लान काम करेगा? बिल्कुल करेगा, 100% करेगा. करेगा अगर आप अपने लेसन प्लान में रोट मेमोरी को. So in that case, you know what will happen? Children will enjoy your lesson. Children will learn skills and your lesson plan will never fail. So let's first try to understand this. What is a lesson plan? A lesson plan is activity which the teacher performs before the actual lesson place. लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली अगर किसी भी स्कूल में या किसी भी टीचर के साथ ऐसा होता है कि वो क्लास में जाकर पूछते हैं, हाँ बच्चों, तो कल हम कौन सा एक्सरसाइज कर रहे थे मैथ्स का, 6.1 कर रहे थे या 6.2 सम नंबर 3 में थे, कोई कहेगा नो मैम यू वर डूइंग 6.1. अगर ये स्थिति है तो मैं कुछ नहीं कह सकती, फिर मैं अपना हैंड्स अप कर देती हूँ. ओके, लेकिन अगर ऐसी स्थिति नहीं आप चाहते अपने क्लास में, अगर आप चाहते हैं कि my class should go hassle free, my class should move with the flow of the children, सिर्फ आप जो सोचकर जा रहे हैं teaching that or delivering that is not the purpose of the teacher. Sometimes you have to allow your children also to work as leaders. So your lesson plan should be adaptable, your lesson plan should be sustainable in those conditions as well. Where if the child is wanting to use his way, तो भी आपका lesson plan work करना चाहिए. So please remember, lesson plan is something which you prepare before the class. Jisme what all things are there? Your instructional strategy should be there. Your learning activities should be there. That is very, very important. You should only not write assessments or pre-learning testing, etc. Now, what are the steps of lesson planning? Look at this very, very, very carefully. This is important. Number one is, what is the objective of my today's class? ये सबसे important है, and we'll deal with this first of all. What is the objective of today's class? क्या आपके क्लास का objective ये है that you will teach them the definition of adverbs, or you will teach them the types of mirror, or you will teach them the types of lenses, or the types of equations? या आपका लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है that today my children will learn critical thinking. I've come to skills now. I've come to skills. Critical thinking is a skill. I'll just show you the slide right now where you'll come to know what are the skills we are talking about. So, and next, plan the specific learning activities. Suppose you want to develop critical thinking in your students. Now, what are the activities? अब आप कहेंगे मैम मुझे अपना करिकुलम कंप्लीट करना है, मैं क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग सिखाऊंगा या सिखाऊंगी, तो फिर मैं अपना लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स जो मेरा करिकुलम है वो कब पूरा होगा? Let me tell you this. If you are able to teach your child the skills, critical thinking is one of them. If you are able to teach the child the skills, the child will learn the content himself or herself because you have taught them how to learn. That is a major objective. When a child goes to the college, does the teacher teach the child from the book? But no, the child is able to manage because he has learned how to learn. And there are some who are not able to manage. So you want your children to develop as what? Can he learn or she learn on his own, or the child will always be spoon-fed by the teacher? You know, in many of the classes I have observed that the teachers are dictating the question answers. The teachers are writing the question answers on the board. The same questions are coming in the exam. The child is getting 100 out of 100. Is that the education that we are aiming to give? Are you happy with that? Then, okay, my child has got 100 out of 100, 90 out of 100 in maths and science and Sanskrit and social science. I'm a very happy teacher. Or do you feel that no, my child is at zero? The timeline has just started. My child is not able to frame a sentence on his own. Suppose you are an English teacher or any language teacher, Sanskrit teacher, Urdu teacher, German teacher, Hindi teacher, whatever you are. If you're a language teacher and if you've taught your children how to listen, LSRW, how to listen, how to speak, how to read and write, and how to write. Do you think you need to teach your child anything else? So what are these? These are skills. So please remember, my dear friends, that today's session is on development of skills through lesson planning. That means through classroom teaching. How do we develop those skills? So as a teacher of any subject, अभी आपको सोचना होगा आप किस सब्जेक्ट के टीचर आपको पता है, आप साइंस के टीचर है, मैथ्स के टीचर है, लैंग्वेजेस के टीचर है, सोशल साइंस के टीचर, आप किस चीज के टीचर है? आप अपने सब्जेक्ट के स्किल्स क्या हैं आप वो पहले पता करो. As a teacher, many of us are not even aware कि हमारे सब्जेक्ट के स्किल्स क्या हैं. जैसे मैंने अभी आपको बताया, लैंग्वेज का स्किल है लिसनिंग, स्पीकिंग, रीडिंग एंड देन राइटिंग. तो आपको सिर्फ अपने बच्चे को ये 4 चीज सिखाना है, बाकी चीजें वो खुद से सीख लेगा. आपको सिर्फ थोड़ा सा गाइड करना होगा. लेकिन हम क्या करते हैं, हम नर्सरी से लेकर क्लास 12 तक बच्चे को डेफिनेशंस पढ़ाते हैं, बच्चे को वर्कबुक कराते हैं, बच्चे को फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स कराते हैं, बच्चे को क्वेश्चन आंसर्स दिखाते हैं. और जब वो बच्चा क्लास 12 पास करके कॉलेज में जाता है, द चाइल्ड इज नॉट एबल टू राइट अ पैराग्राफ ऑन हिज ओन. There are so many graduates there. I mean, you must be seeing or here and there. They don't even know how to write an application properly. What is the reason? The reason is their teachers focused on the content and not on the skills. So please remember, please understand, my dear teachers, our aim is to develop skills of the students. Our aim is not to complete the curriculum because that will not help. Curriculum completion is a secondary part. The primary part is skill development. Once the skills are developed, the children will complete the curriculum happily, and in fact they will be a great source of help for you to complete their curriculum. So how will you achieve your learning objectives? How will you develop skills? So for that you have to plan specific activities for your class. Then you have to understand, of course, that your children have understood what you are trying to do or not. And of course the sequence should be set and create a realistic timeline, and don't forget to close. Okay, now next when we talk about the lesson plan, we must understand that it should have the topic, the objectives, the procedure, time, student practice, where these are the very, very, very important components of lesson planning. Because today's learners are no longer the people our educational system was designed to teach. We were different. I still remember my teachers used to give me notes from the notebooks, but today we don't do that. Our children write on their own. So the demand has changed, so you have to change. The product also has to change. Now the children are demanding something else. So the method of teaching of the teacher has to be different, because you should understand that these are 21st century learners. And our 21st century learners have very short attention span. The crave for interactivity, they want to talk, and you want to make them quiet all the time. They will not be quiet, they will interact. That is one of the characteristics of the 21st century learners. They are visual students. I hope all of you are aware of the Vark theory. You should understand कि 21st century के learners, visual learners ज़्यादा होते हैं. दिखाइएगा वो समझेंगे. आप सिर्फ lecture दीजिएगा उनको नहीं समझ में आएगा. उनकी reading skills बहुत weak होती है. उनके visual spatial skills बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, and their response time is very fast. Before you complete the question, they will raise their hand and say, "Ma'am, sir, I want to answer." Because they just cannot be patient. Their attention span is very, very less. Okay. Now let us understand that these students are continuously evaluating you. Thus, they are actually saying that teach me the way I want. So let me come back to the lesson plan where I was telling you that you have to make your objectives very, very clear. Look at this. This is more or less a very common lesson plan. I've just taken one shot from our lesson plan and put it here. For example, the subject, the concept, the subtopic, everything is here. But what about learning outcome? So I'll start from here. Let me help you teachers frame the learning outcome. अभी क्या होता है कि जैसे हमारे कुछ बच्चे होते हैं ना, 9-10 के बच्चे होते हैं, हम उनसे कहते हैं बेटा पीरियोडिक टेबल अपने स्टडी टेबल के सामने लगा कर रखना, पीरियोडिक टेबल याद रखना, पीरियोडिक टेबल को रोज याद करो, रोज रिवाइज करो, मैथ्स के जितने फॉर्मूलाज एक कागज पर लिख के चिपका दो, हम कहते हैं ना अपने स्टूडेंट्स को. तो हम टीचर्स हैं, हमें क्या रखना चाहिए अपने टेबल के सामने? हम भी तो कहीं बैठ के लेसन प्लान बनाते हैं, कॉपी करेक्शन करते हैं, अगले दिन की प्लानिंग करते हैं. हमारे टेबल पर क्या होना चाहिए? हमारे टेबल पर होना चाहिए हमारा बाइबल, हमारी गीता, हमारा कुरान, हमारा गुरु ग्रंथ साहब, एंड दैट इज ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी. वंस अगेन, आप जब तक ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी को अपने सामने नहीं रखेंगे, ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी को नहीं समझेंगे, तब तक आप लेसन प्लान में की फर्स्ट स्टेप को कर सकेंगे, दैट इज लर्निंग आउटकम. Now, I believe that almost all of you have attended many of my sessions or many of Patliputra Sahodaya sessions. And this is perhaps the third successful year we are doing sessions with you. So today I am not going into the basic terms because I'm expecting that friends, you are aware of those basic terms. So let me just directly dive into learning outcome. आपको पता है, any child who's sitting in your class learns through three places: from the head, from the hand, and from the heart. So today we're going to talk about Bloom's taxonomy, which focuses on the cognitive domain, that is the head of the child. So you should understand, ये फोटो हो सकता है, ये स्क्रीनशॉट अगर आप हो सकता है, आप लेकर अपने टेबल के सामने रखिए. जब भी आप लेसन प्लानिंग कर रहे हो, ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी को अपने सामने रखिए, क्योंकि आपके लर्निंग आउटकम्स यहीं से बनते हैं. जब भी आप लेसन प्लान लिखते हैं तो आपके सबसे पहले होना चाहिए स्टूडेंट्स विल बी एबल टू. But in most of the lesson plans, I always find the teacher writes, teacher will teach. Teacher will teach the topic falana. Teacher is not supposed to teach. आपको नहीं teach करना है. Your purpose is to make your students know something. Your purpose is not that you go to the class and teach. अगर आज का ये सेशन हो रहा है और मैं बहुत अच्छा भाषण दे रही हूँ, तो ये पर्पस नहीं है इस सेशन का. इस सेशन का पर्पस ये है कि जितने लोग इस सेशन को अटेंड कर रहे हैं, वो ये समझे कि लेसन प्लानिंग में स्किल्स की प्लेस को हायर देंगे रादर देन कंटेंट डिलीवरी ओनली. और वो स्किल को कैसे हम हाई प्लेस देंगे? अपनी लर्निंग आउटकम्स को बहुत बहुत प्रोडक्टिव बनाकर. और लर्निंग आउटकम्स हम कहां से बनाएंगे? लर्निंग आउटकम बनाने के लिए हमेशा ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी के पेज को पलटेंगे. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल दे रही हूँ. फॉर एग्जांपल, आपको आज क्लास 5 में जाना है और आपको वहां सिखाना है जर्मिनेशन ऑफ सीड्स. तो जर्मिनेशन ऑफ सीड आपको पढ़ाना है, ठीक है, ये कंटेंट है आपका. लेकिन जर्मिनेशन ऑफ सीड पढ़ाने के लिए हमारी लर्निंग आउटकम कैसी होगी? जो स्किल ड्रिवन भी हो. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एन एग्जांपल. आई एम श्योर योर टीचर्स, यू कैन डेवलप सो मेनी ऑन योर ओन. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल, आप देखो ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी क्या कहता है. रिमेंबरिंग इज द लीस्ट इन द कॉग्निशन लेवल. रिमेंबरिंग सबसे निचले पायदान पर है. देन इज अंडरस्टैंड, अप्लाई, एनालाइज, इवैल्यूएट एंड देन क्रिएट. Now friends, you can either make a learning objective like this. Students will be able to define germination. This is what? This is the remembering learning outcome. ये फिर आप कहाँ चले गए? आप चले गए कंटेंट पे कि बच्चा मेरे क्लास के बाद child will be able to define germination. तो यानी आपने स्किल डेवलप नहीं किया. तो आपका लर्निंग आउटकम skill based नहीं है, आपका learning outcome content based. Now for example, you go to the next पायदान, understanding. So आप कैसा कर सकते हैं? Look at the verbs you can use. See, I've given a set of verbs also. You can use verbs like classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, select, translate. For example, आप कह सकते हैं students will be able to classify between a seed which can germinate or a seed which cannot germinate with reasons. सीड तो सीड होता है, सीड को तो जर्मिनेट करना ही है, लेकिन कुछ सीड जर्मिनेट कर सकते हैं, कुछ सीड नहीं जर्मिनेट कर सकते. क्यों? इसको हवा पानी फैलाना नहीं मिला, उसको मिला, जो भी, ये कंटेंट हो गया. लेकिन यहाँ क्या हुआ, बच्चे को कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में आया मतलब द चाइल्ड हैज डेवलप्ड क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग. Now, टीचर कैसे समझाया, आएंगे. अभी मैं आपको सिर्फ लर्निंग आउटकम बता रही. How the teacher will explain the child, how the child will be able to classify, how the child will be able to explain, how the child will be able to recognize, because the teacher has helped the child develop his or her critical thinking. Now, critical thinking कैसे develop होगा, उसके लिए हमें एक एक्टिविटी करनी होगी, मैं उस पर बाद में आ रही हूँ. हम स्टेप बाय स्टेप आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now, if you want your children कि और वो दिमाग का और इस्तेमाल करें, according to Bloom, go to the third level of cognition, then you have to design some learning outcome जिसमें application based verbs हो. For example, execute, implement, solve, use, demonstrate, interpret, cooperate, schedule, sketch. अभी फ्रेंड्स, आप मुझे ईमानदारी से बताओ, क्या हम में से कोई भी इन वर्ड्स को कभी यूज भी करते हैं अपने लेसन प्लानिंग में या अपने क्वेश्चन पेपर्स में भी? वी डोंट इवन यूज इट इन आवर क्वेश्चन पेपर. Let me tell you one thing. Assessment is not today's session, but still I would like to tell you, whenever you're preparing a proper learning outcome, a good learning outcomes, from those learning outcomes, your questions come. Very good, Abhinandan sir. I'm really, really proud of you. Thank you so much for using these verbs. So, you know, when you prepare the learning outcome and you use these words, direct वहीं से आपका क्वेश्चन पेपर भी बनने लगता है. तो जब आपकी प्रिंसिपल या एग्जाम डिपार्टमेंट आपको डेडलाइन देता है, प्लीज सबमिट क्वेश्चन पेपर्स, यू डोंट हैव टू वरी, यू जस्ट टेक आउट योर लेसन प्लान, यू पिक अप योर लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स और वहीं से आप अपने क्वेश्चंस बना लीजिए. आप क्वेश्चन में यही वर्ड दीजिए, क्लासिफाई, डिस्क्राइब, इंप्लीमेंट, सॉल्व, यूज, डेमोन्स्ट्रेट. तो अगर साइंस टीचर भी सॉल्व वर्ड को यूज करेंगे, इंग्लिश टीचर भी सॉल्व वर्ड को यूज करेंगे, मैथ्स टीचर भी सॉल्व वर्ड को यूज करेंगे, तो सॉल्व न्यूमेरिकल्स विल नॉट बी डिफिकल्ट फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स. You know what happens? Only the maths teacher uses the word solve. Neither the English, nor the Hindi, nor the science, nor the social science, Sanskrit, कोई नहीं यूज करता है. तो बच्चा सॉल्व सिर्फ मैथ्स में ही करता है, इसलिए बच्चा मैथ्स में कमजोर होता है. So I always tell this, why the child is not good in maths? Because none of the other teachers have taught the child to understand, to apply, to analyze, to evaluate, and to create, which happens in mathematics every day. So are you understanding? तो अब आपका लर्निंग आउटकम एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड कैसा हो सकता है? वी टेक द सेम टॉपिक. क्या था हमारा टॉपिक? जर्मिनेशन ऑफ सीड्स. जर्मिनेशन ऑफ सीड में फॉर एग्जांपल हम एग्जीक्यूट वर्ड को लेते हैं, पहला वर्ड लेते हैं, तो हम ये कह सकते हैं द स्टूडेंट विल बी एबल टू एग्जीक्यूट द प्रोसेस ऑफ जर्मिनेशन एट होम एंड कम टू द क्लास विद द रिजल्ट्स. यानी घर पे बच्चा जर्मिनेशन ऑफ सीड करेगा और रिजल्ट लेकर क्लास में आएगा. तो अब जर्मिनेशन ऑफ सीड के लिए उसको क्या क्या चीजें चाहिए, क्या क्या चीजें नहीं चाहिए, क्या क्या होनी चाहिए, क्या क्या फेवरेबल कंडीशंस है, क्या क्या अनफेवरेबल कंडीशंस, आपको समझाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Once the child is able to execute germination and show you the result, that means the child has understood what is needed, what is not needed. ये facts उसी के अंदर छुपे हैं. फिर से मैं अपने आप को दोहरा रही हूँ, मैं आपको ये समझाने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ कि when you teach skills to the child, the facts automatically happen. And when you teach only facts to the child, skills do not develop. And when skills don't develop, the child grows up without becoming skilled. And when the child is not skilled, the child is roaming from pillar to post for a small job. The child does not have any skills, the child is not able to do anything in life. So the focus of education should be, the focus of the teacher should be development of skills rather than developing content. Now suppose we take the same topic. What is the topic? Germination of seed. And we want our children to develop analysis skills according to Bloom's taxonomy. So analysis के लिए Bloom ने क्या-क्या verbs use किए हैं? Differentiate, relate, compare, contrast, distinguish, examine, experiment, question, test. Now suppose the child says, हम पहला ही ले लेते, differentiate ही ले लेते. Now the child says, your learning outcome says, I'm sorry, not the child, the learning outcome says the student will be able to differentiate between germinating seeds and non-germinating seeds. Okay, the students will be able to organize the components of germination. The students will be able to relate why a certain seed is not able to germinate. Are you understanding? Then goes to evaluation level. Evaluation मतलब हम justify जहां कर सके, हम decision ले सके अपने life में. तो evaluation के लिए praise a germinating seed and defend the conditions that are favorable for germination in query-based learning. Yes. Are you understanding what is evaluation? कैसे? अब ना एक फोटो आपने दे दिया बच्चे को, एक सीड जर्मिनेट कर रहा, मान लीजिए फोटोग्राफी आपने दिखा दिया क्लास में और आपने कहा come on children, now praise this. Now the child will write in his or her own language that how beautifully the seed is germinating, and then the child will defend the conditions of germination. कि ये हुआ इसीलिए ये seed germinate किया. Are you getting my point? Next, final, the ultimate of Bloom's taxonomy, the ultimate of दिमाग क्या है? Creation. जब आप कुछ नया create करते हो, उस समय आप अपने दिमाग का सबसे ज्यादा involvement होता है, involve करते हो अपने दिमाग को. और Bloom's taxonomy deals with दिमाग, cognition. तो Bloom कहते हैं कि दिमाग के सबसे ऊपरी पायदान पर है creation. तो अगर हमें यही पढ़ाना, germination of seed ही पढ़ाना है, और हम बच्चे को क्रिएशन का स्किल्स देना चाहते हैं, तो हम क्या कह सकते हैं? डिजाइन, असेंबल, कंस्ट्रक्ट, कंज्यूर, डेवलप, फॉर्मुलेट, ऑथर, इन्वेस्टिगेट. हम कह सकते हैं that we have kept suppose 2 seeds, one in A jar, one in B jar. The A jar seed is germinating, but the B jar seed is not germinating. Then we give a question to the child. Investigate the reasons why the seed in jar B is not germinating. Now the child will find out the reasons and write कि ये हुआ था जिसकी वजह से वो नहीं जर्मिनेट कर सका, और ए में ये हुआ था जिसकी वजह से वो जर्मिनेट किया. वो क्रिएट करेगा कुछ. क्या क्रिएट करेगा? अपना प्रोजेक्ट क्रिएट करेगा. उसके इन्वेस्टिगेशन रिपोर्ट्स रहेंगे. Are you understanding? So friends, your learning outcomes should be based on these levels of Bloom's taxonomy and use these verbs. Kindly keep a screenshot of this if you're really interested, and you please take a printout of it. Keep it somewhere where you can look at it every day. And when you prepare your lesson plan, the very first thing you will do is you will write the learning outcomes. Here you can see the learning outcome section. You will write this. Okay, so you have prepared the skill-based learning outcome. अब आपको क्या करना है? आपको पढ़ाना भी वैसे ही. You prepare the learning outcome. Then next is description, resources, and all. This is very common. All of you know how to do it. You will describe the process. आपने क्या tools use किया, लर्निंग एड्स यूज किया, हम लोग सब करते हैं. लेकिन आप जब भी डिजाइन करते हो उसके बाद प्लीज आप चेक करिए कि आपका लर्निंग आउटकम स्मार्ट होना चाहिए. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ स्मार्ट? S for specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, for realistic, time bound. Now what is the meaning of this? हम एक छोटा सा लर्निंग आउटकम अभी लेकर आपको समझाती हूँ एग्जांपल से. फॉर एग्जांपल मैं एक लर्निंग आउटकम लेती हूँ. जस्ट टुडे मान लीजिए आई एम एन इंग्लिश टीचर और आई एम हिंदी टीचर. आज मैं जाऊंगी क्लास में, मुझे एक पोम पढ़ाना है. ठीक है. सो I keep the learning outcome something like this. Very simple learning outcome. Today the students will be able to understand the poem, whatever the poem is. Now आप अब बताओ ये learning outcome is smart or not smart? So सबसे पहले is my learning outcome is today the students will be able to understand the poem. That is my learning outcome. Am I specific? Am I specific? What is the meaning of understand? Understand what? Understand the literary devices, understand the meaning, understand the summary, understand the author, understand the language. What the students will understand. I have not been specific. So that means specific nahi hai mera learning outcome. Is it measurable? Understanding को आप measure कर सकते हैं क्या? You cannot. But if you would have written today, the students will be able to identify 4 literary devices used in this poem. तो ये measurable होता. आप बताते what are the 4 literary devices used in the poem? कर सकते थे, बच्चे को आता है या नहीं. You understand what is measurable? Attainable. क्या पूरे पोएम की अंडरस्टैंडिंग पॉसिबल इन 35 और 40 मिनट्स पीरियड? इज इट पॉसिबल? इज इट अटेनेबल? रियलिस्टिक। रियलिस्टिक का मतलब ये है कि क्या हम उस काम को उतने देर के समय में कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते हैं। एंड टाइम बाउंड मतलब क्या लर्निंग आउटकम बनाए फ्रेंड्स। आप काइंडली इस बात को समझे कि आपके पास 35 से 40 मिनट की ही घंटी है। आप एक ऐसा लर्निंग आउटकम नहीं बनाए जिसमें 4 दिन लग जाएंगे, तो आपको फिर उतने नंबर ऑफ पीरियड्स के हिसाब से अपना लर्निंग आउटकम बनाना होगा। मैं फिर से एक बार समझा रही हूँ आपको। Your learning outcome should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. जैसे, if I make a learning outcome, today students will be able to understand the conditions for germination. किसी ने लिखा था चैट बॉक्स में, नॉट क्लियर, इसमें दोबारा समझा रही हूँ। अगर मैं फिर से रिपीट कर रही हूँ, अगर मैं लर्निंग आउटकम में लिखूं, टुडे द स्टूडेंट्स विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड द फेवरेबल कंडीशंस फॉर जर्मिनेशन। नाउ यू प्लीज test it. Is it a smart learning outcome? Is it specific? Yes. They will be able to understand what? They will be able to understand the favorable conditions of germination. Very clear. Is it measurable? Yes. अगर मैं बच्चे से पूछूं या लिखने को दूं या उससे पूछूं या एक्टिविटी कराऊं, what are the favorable conditions? अगर बच्चा बोल देता है, that means the child has understood. It's measurable. Is it attainable? In one period, can you do this? Can you attain it? Is it realistic? मतलब है इसका, अगर मैं ये कहूं, today the students will be able to go to moon. Is it realistic? Is this learning outcome possible? It's not possible. It's not realistic. And time bound means whenever you are preparing a learning outcome, you please ensure that in 35 to 40 minutes, जितनी भी देर की घंटी होती है आपके स्कूल में, that much of time में वो खत्म हो जाए, नहीं तो फिर you keep it for the next period. So whenever you are preparing a learning outcome, you have to keep the Bloom's taxonomy in front of you to take the verbs, and you have to ensure that your learning outcome is smart. I hope you have understood, whoever had given that comment in the chat box and all of you others. I hope it's clear. Now let's come to the skills. Now I'm going to the activity part. I'm just trying to show you something. Yeah, look at this. Next is what? Description and activities. तो हम क्या activities करेंगे अपने lesson plan में, आइए हम उसको देखें थोड़ा। जैसे for example, सबसे पहले आप ये समझो कि आपको स्किल सिखाना है, आपको ड्राइंग नहीं क्लास में, आपको कुकिंग नहीं सिखानी है, आपको गाड़ी चलाना, मोटरसाइकिल चलाना, सिलाई करना नहीं सिखाना। There are certain skills which is expected to be delivered in the classroom by all teachers, irrespective of the fact कि आप इंग्लिश टीचर है कि हिंदी टीचर है कि मैथ्स टीचर है, साइंस है, संस्कृत है, क्या उससे कोई मतलब नहीं। Every teacher has to deliver these skills through the content. Okay, and today we are trying to focus on this. So what are the skills, 21st century skills? The skills are 3: learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. Now what is the meaning of learning skills? Learning skill के अंदर 4 C आता है, ये याद रखने के लिए मैंने बनाया। There are 4 C's. क्या क्या C's है? Critical thinking, creativity, collaboration and communication. यानी आज के डेट में अगर किसी कोई बच्चा क्रिटिकल थिंकर है और क्रिएटिव है, तो वो इनोवेशन कर सकता है। कोई भी इनोवेशन वो कर सकता है, उसे किसी के मोहताज रहने की जरूरत नहीं है। कोलैबोरेशन मतलब टीम वर्क में काम कर सकता है, और उसकी कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स अगर अच्छी हैं तो आपको नहीं लगता बच्चा एक्सेल करेगा किसी भी फील्ड में। सो देयरफॉर यू नो CBSE has also bifurcated 21st century skills like this. These are not, I have not designed it. This is from the CBSE handbook I've taken. So please don't think that ma'am thinks that these are the skills. I don't think it. These are the CBSE marked skills. Okay. नेक्स्ट, लिटरेसी स्किल्स। लिटरेसी स्किल्स में 3 चीजें आती है, और मुझे ऐसा फील होता है, इसमें पर्सनल थॉट, ये पढ़ाने की जरूरत भी नहीं होती है। चिल्ड्रन आर वेरी गुड इन दिस, ऑलरेडी born good. What are these? Information literacy, media literacy and technology literacy, and I think all kids are better than us in this. तीसरा है लाइफ स्किल्स। जैसे मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ कि मान लीजिए आप एक बहुत बड़े से नाव पे कहीं घूमने जा रहे हैं, or somebody's PhD, somebody's MSc, somebody's MA, somebody's doctor, somebody's engineer, somebody's a scientist. But अगर वो नाव तूफान में हिल डुल रही है, उस समय ना तो आपका PhD काम आएगा, ना आपका MHD काम आएगा, ना आपका डॉक्टर, साइंटिस्ट, कुछ भी नहीं काम आएगा। What will come to your rescue? What will come to your rescue? Your skills. And which skill will come to your rescue at that point of time, friends? Which skill will come to you, rescue you at that point of time? Any answers? Skill which will help you in tufan when you are in the village. Good skills. कौन सा skills? Yeah, रूपा जी, very good. Swimming. आपको तैरना आता है, आप बच जाओगे। आपको तैरना नहीं आता, आप कितने भी बड़े विद्वान हो, कितना भी कंटेंट आपका अच्छा हो, आप नहीं बचेंगे. So it's very important that we have life skills. We have life skills so that some tragedy happens in our life, we can save ourselves. I always think, and I always ask my fellow colleagues during trainings and workshop, what happens that an IITian also commits suicide? What happens that an IPS officer, somebody doing very well in life, commits suicide? A model or a big Bollywood star is committing suicide. ये इतने पैसे हैं इनके पास, इतना नॉलेज है इनके पास, इतनी इंटेलेक्ट है इनके पास, फिर भी कैसे सुसाइड कर लेते हैं? मैं तो सोचती कि मेरे पास इतने पैसे होते, मैं तो खूब ऐश करती, सुसाइड तो सोचती ही नहीं कभी. अगर मैं आईआईटीएन होती तब तो क्या बात है, बल्ले बल्ले. तो आईआईटीएन बनने के बाद भी सुसाइड, उससे तो अच्छे हम ही लोग हैं. व्हाट डू यू थिंक? So you know what happens? We take such kind of decisions because we don't have life skills. And life skills actually are the skills which save our life. During, a turmoil, वो तूफान के जैसे, when turmoil comes in our life, these life skills only save us. So life skills develop करना बहुत जरूरी है. आपकी क्लास के बच्चे बहुत विद्वान हैं, 98 out of 100 आता है, लेकिन life skills ही नहीं है, तो फिर कोई फायदा नहीं. So it's your moral responsibility to develop these skills in your students. So there are life skills को याद रखने के लिए एक छोटा सा यहाँ word है flips. This is the short form. F is for flexibility, L is for leadership, and then I is for initiative, P is for productivity, and S is for social and cross-curricular linkage. So these are flips. ये skills, इतने सारे skills आपके बच्चे में आपको develop करना है. कैसे करेंगे? ना आप कुछ भी पढ़ा रहे हो, कुछ भी आप क्लास में पढ़ा रहे हो, आई डोंट माइंड वेदर यूर टीचिंग मैथ्स और साइंस, सोशल साइंस, संस्कृत, हिंदी, पॉलिनोमियल, क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन, अलजेब्रा, और यू आर टीचिंग अ प्रोज, और यू आर टीचिंग लैंग्वेज, वॉट एवर यू आर टीचिंग. दिस इज अनदर डायग्रामेटिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ स्किल्स. यू कैन टेक अ स्क्रीनशॉट ऑफ दिस एज वेल. आप कुछ भी पढ़ा रहे हो फ्रेंड्स, आपको लाइफ स्किल्स डेवलप करानी है. मैं छोटा छोटा एग्जांपल आपको दे रही हूँ. मैं सारे का एग्जांपल तो नहीं दे पाऊंगी बिकॉज टाइम विल नॉट परमिट अस, बट आई विल ट्राई टू गिव यू एग्जांपल्स. लाइक these have been taken from the from the skill development 21st century skills manual of CBSE. It is readily available. Don't think that if you don't have this PPT, you're missing something. You're not missing anything. Everything has been taken from your from your 21st century skill handbook of CBSE. So you can also grab a copy of that and learn all this. Okay. Now, suppose you are an English teacher and you are doing something in the class, anything you are teaching in the class, any story or poem or language, whatever you're teaching. Now you have to develop critical thinking. Now मिताली मैम ने कहा स्किल सिखाना है, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग सिखानी है, तो मैं अपना करिकुलम पूरा करूं कि क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग सिखाऊं? फिर वही क्वेश्चन आएगा. तो मेरा ये कहना है फ्रेंड्स, प्लीज कि आप दोनों करिए, आप करिकुलम भी करो और क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग भी करो. जैसे मान लीजिए यू हैव टॉट अ चैप्टर, ओके, नाउ उस चैप्टर को पढ़ाने के बाद, या यू हैव टॉट समथिंग टू द स्टूडेंट्स, यू हैव डिस्कस समथिंग, now you have to develop critical thinking. You must be taking formative assessment also in your classes. You must be doing activities in your classes. So why not do an activity which develops critical thinking in my students? So see, so many activities. These are all activities given. मैं इसमें से एक एक्टिविटी एक छोटे से एग्जांपल के साथ आपको समझाती हूँ. मान लीजिए पहला एक्टिविटी आप ले लो, अदला बदलू. Now, once you have completed the chapter, or you are in between the chapter, or you want to start a chapter, depends upon you. Suppose you want to tell your children, tomorrow we'll have a debate competition on this topic, whatever the topic is, whatever is there in your curriculum. We'll have a debate on this topic. These two rows will prepare for the motion, and these two rows will prepare against the motion. Taken, very good. Next day you come to the class, children are all prepared for the debate, I'm sure. Now you go to the class और आप एक छोटा सा बम छोड़िए वहां. क्या बम है? बम है अदला बदलू. इसका मतलब ये है, you will tell those who prepared against the motion will today speak for the motion, and those who prepared for the motion will speak against the motion. Now what happened? You have forced the children to think in a different way. Yesterday they were thinking for the motion, but today they will think against the motion. So you will develop critical thinking like this. There are so many such small examples. So teachers, आप अपना curriculum के साथ साथ activity section of the lesson plan में आप ये चीज लिखें और इस एक्टिविटी को कंडक्ट करें. यू हैव टू गिव ओनली हाफ अ पीरियड मे बी, और यू हैव टू, जैसे आप अगर डिबेट नहीं भी कराओ ना, दैट थिंकिंग प्रोसेस यू हैव इनिशिएटेड, दैट इज इनफ to help them become critical thinkers. Okay, next, creativity. 4 C's I'm talking about: critical thinking, creativity. You give them anything, you put anything on your board and ask them to describe, but put a condition. Once somebody is described, the same thing nobody will repeat. You will see children will forcibly come out with good things about that picture. आजकल आप देखो ना, किसी को भी कोई किसी की तारीफ नहीं करता, कोई नहीं कहता आप बहुत अच्छे लग रहे हो, आपने बहुत अच्छा काम किया, आप बहुत अच्छे हैं. हम लोग कहना ही नहीं जानते, हम लोग क्रिएटिव ही नहीं है, हम लोग किसी का प्रेज नहीं करना चाहते. वी आर अनग्रेटफुल पीपल. So if you teach this to your students, the students will think good about things around them and their creativity will improve. And please remember, critical thinking plus creativity is a damdar combination because it leads to innovation. And innovation means you can create anything that you want to. मुझे इस चीज की जरूरत है, मैं क्रिएट कर लेती हूँ ना, मुझे किसी पे डिपेंडेंट रहने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो अगर आप अपने बच्चे को इतना इंडिपेंडेंट बना देंगे, आपको जिंदगी में चीज जरूरत, आई एम श्योर कभी नहीं. सो प्लीज फोकस ऑन क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग एंड क्रिएटिविटी. नेक्स्ट, इनोवेशन. कैसे इनोवेटिव बनते हैं बच्चे? ऐसा थोड़ी है आप, मैं बहुत समय सोचती हूँ कि ये ग्रेट आइडिया न्यूटन को ही क्यों आया. बहुत लोगों ने एप्पल को गिरते हुए देखा, व्हाई न्यूटन थॉट इन अ डिफरेंट वे? Because his critical thinking, his creativity, his innovative skills were well developed than the others. That is why he thought of this. There was nothing else. Please don't think that he was out of the world person. These skills were more developed than the others. That is why Newton could invent something, discover something which others could not. और हम आज भी यही सोचते हैं, अरे यार ये इनोवेशन करने वाले जो लोग होते हैं ना, इनका जो है ना आईक्यू ही कुछ और होता है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है फ्रेंड्स, प्लीज ट्रस्ट मी. मैं भी ऐसे ही सोचती थी, इनोवेशन करने वाली की आईक्यू लेवल बिल्कुल कुछ अलग नहीं होती, वो वैसे ही होते हैं जैसे हम लोग होते हैं, बस उनकी एक सेट ऑफ स्किल्स ज्यादा डेवलप्ड होती है. एंड थैंक्स टू देयर टीचर्स. सो यू कैन ऑल्सो बिकम दैट टीचर एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो मोटिवेट योर स्टूडेंट्स सो दैट दे डेवलप दोस स्किल्स. नाउ इनोवेशन. For example, when you give them a project-based learning, that is innovation. This is my favorite. 2 is enough. जैसे आप बच्चे को कहिए, I'm giving only 2 shapes, a triangle and a rectangle, or a circle and a rectangle. Only by using these 2 shapes, you have to draw a dash, whatever, a car, a bicycle, an aeroplane, a train, but you have to use only these 2 shapes. Now the child will think in a different way. So you are actually, what are you doing? You're triggering the innovation of the child. Next. कोलैबोरेटिव स्किल्स आपको बच्चे को सिखाना है. 4 C's पे हैं हम लोग अभी. कोलैबोरेशन स्किल्स कैसे सिखाएंगे बच्चे को? कोलैबोरेशन स्किल्स, बेस्ट एंड द इजीएस्ट वे व्हिच वी हैव बीन डूइंग सिंस एजेस इज डम charade. When you divide the class into groups and one entire group helps the members of its group and the other group will help the members of their group. So children will learn how to work in collaboration, work in a team. So whenever you're doing any activity, do a team activity, don't do individual activity. Once upon a time you can do individual also, but sometimes you do team activity to improve the collaboration. Communication. You know what I do in my school for communication? Out of the other things, during my PhD period, I always tell the teacher that, okay, once the children are playing something, you divide them into teams to develop their collaborative skills, and you make 2 or 4 children do the running commentary of whatever is happening in the field. So they develop their communication skill. 5 minute इसने बोला, फिर change हो गया, 5 minute दूसरा बोलता है, फिर change हो गया, 5 minute कोई दूसरा बोलता है. So you know what is happening? Every child's communication skill is being developed. Okay. Next is इंफॉर्मेशन लिटरेसी. मैंने आपको बताया ये हमें पढ़ाने की जरूरत नहीं है, ये बच्चे हमें पढ़ा सकते हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल डिजाइनिंग अ ब्लॉग, डिजाइनिंग एन ऐप, PowerPoint presentations. This I hope all schools are doing. So in IMT part we are actually very good. Next is FLIPS, FLIPS. Flex means flexibility. पहला flexibility. आप अगर अपने क्लास के बच्चे को कहेंगे कि bring something from home which you don't use now, which you think is useless and it can be thrown away, bring that. Let the child bring that item to the class and then you tell the child to use it in some different way. यानी अगर कोई दूध का कैन है तो हम ये सोचते हैं कि this can only be used for दूध का कैन. हम ये क्यों नहीं सोचते कि दूध के कैन की जगह हम उसमें दही बड़े भी रख सकते हैं, हम उसमें तेल भी रख सकते हैं, हम उसमें पानी भी रख सकते हैं, हम उसमें वाटर बॉटल भी बना सकते हैं, हम उससे डेकोरेशन पीस भी बना सकते हैं. So let the children think in a different way, then it will help develop flexibility. Art teachers, can't you do it? You can do it very easily in your class. Next is leadership. Yes. You know, this is one area in which most of us are not very good at. You ask the child, name 5 leaders, the child will name 5 freedom fighters. But all freedom fighters are not leaders. Leadership is a different quality. We don't know about leaders. We don't talk about leaders. So the easiest way is donate maybe 2 assemblies of your school in the name of leaders. Today you have to speak about great leaders. That would help. Leaders का काम, leaders क्या करते थे, leadership quality क्या होती है, leaders कैसे बनते हैं, leaders क्यों बनना चाहिए. You can talk about that in your assembly. So क्या मैं आपका curriculum का time ले रही हूँ? नहीं ले रही हूँ. आपकी lesson planning ऐसी होगी that to talk about this skill there will be a assembly. मान लीजिए आप एक सब्जेक्ट पढ़ाते अपने क्लास में, you are the class teacher, you want to develop leadership skills of your children, so in your one of the lesson plans you can mention this: for developing leadership we will have an assembly on this topic, whatever topic you want to give related to leadership, so you can develop that. When you come to responsibility, of course, make monitors, your class monitors, your school monitors, your other monitors. That is for responsibility. So when we make anybody the monitor, we are actually developing responsibility. For example, you can develop this, you can write it in the lesson plan that for this class, Falana student will be the monitor judging these few points. Suppose you're doing a quiz in the class, you're doing a debate in the class, you're doing a group activity in the class, you can make 5 monitors, you can make 2 monitors. They will decide the points. So you are planning this activity very knowingly to develop the responsibility sense of the students. So give that space in the lesson plan. लेसन प्लान में आप सिर्फ प्रीवियस एक्टिविटी टेस्ट असेसमेंट मत लिखिए, आप ये एक्टिविटीज को लिखिए कि माय दिस एक्टिविटी इज फोकस्ड टुवर्ड्स डेवलपमेंट ऑफ रिस्पांसिबिलिटी इन द स्टूडेंट. और मैं क्या एक्टिविटी है, मेरा एक्टिविटी है कि मैं क्विज करूंगी क्लास में, या मैं क्विज करूंगा क्लास में, और ये 2 बच्चे मैंने आइडेंटिफाई कर लीजिए, 2 बच्चों को आप, इन बच्चों को मैं टाइम का रखने के लिए बनाऊंगी, टाइम कीपर बनाऊंगी, इसको मैं स्कोरर बनाऊंगी. आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग? नेक्स्ट इज इनिशिएटिव. And of course, in this, my favorite is teacher first. When you go to the class and you see there's something wrong, the benches are not straight, there is something on the floor, pick it up and throw it. So how do you make your students take initiatives? When you take the initiative first. So when you are planning a lesson plan, friends, please give some space to initiative. Just for example, when I will go to the class, I will take around and see that things are in place or not. If they are not, I will put them in place. What will my children learn? My children will learn that my teacher is taking the initiative, so I should also take the initiative. Okay. Next is self-direction. Like I told you, you have a lesson plan, very beautiful lesson plan, but your 40 kids also have their own lesson plan. Don't forget that. So sometimes, when children want something in the class, give them a chance to do that. Don't demean them. अरे तुमको तो हमेशा खेलने का मन करता है, तुम तो कभी क्लास नहीं अटेंड करना चाहते. Don't say that. Don't demean them. Sometimes you should tell them, okay, today we'll do what you said. Then what will happen? The child will feel, अरे यार, मैम ने, सर ने मेरी बात को इतना वैल्यू दिया, मतलब मैं भी कुछ अच्छा सोच सकता हूं, मैं भी कुछ अच्छा सोच सकती हूं. The child will have faith in himself or herself. So sometimes let them come with activities, self-directed activities. Always the teacher should not direct activities. Make space for the children also to guide you. And when they will guide you, they will have faith in themselves. Productivity. How do you improve productivity? Do you have a reading session in your school? Does your lesson plan incorporate reading activities? Do you make room for the students that they go home or in the class, they are reading something? Make place for that. Read. The more they read, the more productive they become. The more knowledgeable they become. Your work also, teachers, becomes less. When the child starts reading, don't you think your work becomes less? Your curriculum is covered more and skills are also developed. So this is very, very important. Okay. Next is, this is very important because nowadays social skills are becoming very, very, very poor. In your classroom itself, you make some thumb rules. Like suppose someone is not feeling interested in the class, maybe one emoji can come up on the board, or maybe one signal can come up. 3 fingers raised means I'm not interested. So develop a social culture in your class. Have circle time. Talk to the students in your lesson plan. There should be a circle time. Today there'll be a circle time of 5 minutes where we will interact with each other and try to know each other better. So what are you doing? While you're teaching history, maybe while you're teaching geography, you're developing social skills of your students as well. It should be mentioned in the lesson plan. So my dear friend, this is just a suggestive list of activities. This is not an exhaustive list. You can take a screenshot of this as well. You can conduct these activities in your class to develop skills and mention this in your lesson plan. class discussion, brainstorming, role play, games and simulations, situation analysis, case studies, debates, storytelling, dance, yoga, puppetry, rap song, quiz, meditation, drama, singing, questionnaires. These activities will help you develop skills of your students. If you really want to be a remembered teacher, if you want your children to treasure your memories, if you want to give something good to your students, please start working on skill development and give space to skill development in your lesson plan so that you don't forget it. It doesn't become a secondary item of your class. It should be a primary item of your class. And trust me, curriculum will follow skill development. Skill development does not need to follow. That's all from my side, friends. Thank you so much. Over to you for some questions if you have any. If you have any questions, please come up. Anyone? Any questions? So, what you have to do is when you go to the class, please don't think of the content. Your mindset also needs to be changed a little. A little alteration is required. डोंट थिंक दैट स्किल्स को पढ़ाने के चक्कर में मेरा करिकुलम पीछे हो जाएगा, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. सिर्फ आपको ये ध्यान देना कि आप जो एक्टिविटीज प्लान करते हो ना क्लास में, आप जो करने का प्लान करते हो, आई एम श्योर यू आर नॉट ओनली डूइंग लेक्चर मेथड इन योर क्लासेस, यू आर ट्राइंग आउट सो मेनी एक्टिविटीज. तो जब भी आप किसी एक्टिविटी को प्लान करो तो आप स्किल को दिमाग में रख के प्लान करो कि ये स्किल डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए मैं ये एक्टिविटी करने जा रहा हूँ या करने जा रही हूँ. और एक्टिविटीज का मैंने आपको इतना सारा एग्जाम्पल्स दिया. यू कैन ऑलवेज रेफर द 21st Century Skill Development Manual of CBSE. You can refer Google, you can refer the skills of your subject from your B.Ed, you can refer NCF 2005, all the skills of your subject are given there. But as a teacher, you must read the NCF 2005, you must read the Bloom's Taxonomy, you must read the NEP so that you know about skills, you must know about 21st century skills. और आप select करो, आज ये skill develop करूंगी, कल वो skill develop करूंगा, परसों वो skill develop करूंगा, और उस skill के around आप एक activity evolve करिए और अपने classroom में उसको try करिए. That's all what is meant by skill development during lesson plan. When we say lesson plan, we means during the teaching time, during the classroom teaching learning time, we are trying to develop the skill of the student. No extra time is required for that. No special teachers are required for that. Okay. I wish I could have gone in a little more details, but then, the time is always a limiting factor. Thank you so much, Patliputra Sahodaya, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to connect with teachers all around. Thank you, Insha ma'am, and thank you, all of you, for these lovely comments and for being a wonderful interactive audience. Thank you so much. Thank you. May I leave, ma'am?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.